Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful.
See, Mohammed Al-Khadr Al-Ahmed, Executive Director of Strategic Affairs at DMT and General Coordinator of the World Urban Forum 10. Your Excellency, Maimouna Mohammed Sharif, United Nations Under Secretary General and Executive Director of UN Habitat. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the closing ceremony of the 10th session of the World Urban Forum. I am Amira Mohammed, and I'm glad to be with you this morning. Please share your moments on WUF10 on social media using the hashtag WUF10. I know it has been an intense and exciting week, indeed. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce to you a video of some of the many highlights of the 10th World Urban Forum.
I think this is a very unique gathering for everybody. For us, I think it's an opportunity for everybody today, for the whole week, to exchange views, to see exactly what is worth doing, what is to avoid. There will be a lot of lessons learned from each day.
Ladies and gentlemen, with more than 18,000 registered participants and 580 speakers and 133 exhibitors, we have strengthened our capacity and remained united in our vision to create a better world for the next generation.
To meet the challenge posed by the scale and scope of urbanization in the context of global uncertainty, disruptive and destructive change requires a true sense of urgency.
As long as our planet continues heating, no people will be spared from greater suffering. This week we have the opportunity to discuss cities' role in averting that future by making urban living synonymous with sustainability.
The growth trajectory of the World Urban Forum demonstrates the importance of Sustainable Development Goals number 11. The concentration of resources, talent, capital, and power in city regions is the mega trends of this new millennium. As all of you know, we have the ability to turn urban challenges into opportunities.
Thank you for the Ayala dancers. It was really a nice dance. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to now introduce His Excellency Mohammed Al-Khadr Al-Ahmed, Executive Director of Strategic Affairs at DMT and General Coordinator of the World Urban Forum 10, to deliver his remarks.
Assalamu alaikum.
Good morning.
It was a quite 5 minutes movie they showed just to cap up the 5 days activities. Quite interesting. Thanks for the people who did this video, actually nice. My team actually had asked me to deliver a speech for today as a closing. And usually they come up with 3-4 pages long with so many terminologies. Some of them I don't understand. But I keep telling them, for me, I only speak from the heart. I want to stand up and look at the faces and look at the audience, and I deliver what comes from my heart to my brain. There's a lot of people actually to thank in this event. WUF is not an ordinary event. It is simply irresistible. You cannot offer to host WUF without making an effort, tremendous effort, to host it. For the past 5 days, we worked so hard with everybody. Different kind of communities, participants, attendants. In some cases, even we reach out for the non-profit organizations, locally and internationally. The team had worked in this event was representing the real collaboration. Over the 5 days, I was going with the friends from session to session, and we've been monitoring, looking at the event itself, how colossal this event is. Very impressive. The agenda of this event was tremendously attractive. We had a lot of audience in all sessions, regardless if it's dialogue, roundtable, special session, especially the side events. There was a lot of interaction among the attendees. The richness of the agenda made it very successful. The speakers, the topics that has been discussed over the 5 days was tremendously breathtaking. For us, it's a very important thing that we take out the knowledge of every piece. That's what matters. At the end of this session, at the end of this today, our colleagues, as a matter of fact, will announce the declare action of Abu Dhabi. And we'll be glad to hear out from our friend to state exactly as a result of this event. I cannot think of how many people I can thank, actually. But I'm gonna have to try to remember everybody. So, very special thanks, actually, for my sister, Maymuna, and the team. And the team of UN Habitat proven that they are very professional, very supportive for the local organization. Maybe I also extend my thanks and gratitude for our participants who spare the time, regardless of the coronavirus incidents. I really thank all of you for sparing the time and taking the courage to attend such an event. My thanks also extend to the volunteers this year. We had 500 volunteers and 30 volunteers from special needs this year. And they have done great job in helping us organizing and managing the event. Department of Culture and Tourism of Abu Dhabi, they were supportive from the start. They supported our submission to win. They supported our hosting, supported our organization of this event. And I don't want to leave also the ADNIC as a special thanks for you guys. I think everybody I'm getting the feedback that the facilities and the way it's managed in terms of sessions, in terms of support, in terms of transportation, you name it, it was the help from ADNIC. Thank you very much. Before I close up, actually, I'm speechless, as a matter of fact, on what is the right word to use to express my feeling. It was a whole week of being with a huge family, but what is left is the good memory, I guess. And I wish all the best for our upcoming WUF11, Your Excellency. I think you will have later on a word about hosting WUF11. I assure you, from our side, and also from the UN Habitat side, you will get any support, any support you can imagine. You just shout out and we'll be there. And the whole event, actually I want to close up, wrap up, so I don't take a lot of time from you guys. Our job in UN Habitat, with UN Habitat, was not to only master plan of cities. We want to master peace of cities. That's a big difference. With no further ado, thank you very much for attending the closing, and I wish all the best for you, and let's see you guys in Abu Dhabi next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We now are pleased to present a video message from the President of the United Nations General Assembly, His Excellency, Mr. Tijani Mohammed Bande.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I commend the UAE and UN Habitat for hosting this meeting, which is one of the first events to mark the milestone decade of action and delivery for sustainable development. Culture and innovation are key to providing opportunities for decent work, reducing poverty, promoting climate action, and promoting socially cohesive, peaceful, resilient, and inclusive societies. Today, 55% of the world's population lives in cities and towns. That number will rise to 70% by 2050, with cities projected to produce 85% of all global economic output. As urban centers become more diverse, culture plays an even more critical role in fostering respect for human rights, peaceful coexistence, and tolerance. We must continue to implement the new urban agenda as one of the most important blueprints for achieving SDG 11 in our cities. Moving forward, data will be key to strengthening the role of culture in sustainable urbanization. UNESCO's newly unveiled Culture 2030 indicators measure culture's contributions to environmental resilience, prosperity and livelihoods, knowledge and skills, and inclusion and participation. Cities all over the world are increasingly using culture-related activities to market themselves internationally, to promote civic identity, a sense of place, and to boost economic growth and generate employment. Culture accounts for 30 million jobs worldwide, and it is the largest sector providing employment for youth. Culture provides for decent work and has the capacity to contribute towards poverty eradication. Yet, on average, national budgets allocate less than 1% to arts and culture. Facilitating culture as a motor of economic growth reflects the transition from manufacturing cities to sites of more flexible design, knowledge, and service-based activities, and the green economy. Capturing these gains will require giving even greater importance to increasing access to and the quality of education. Greater emphasis on fostering creative thinking will allow workforces to gain from and adapt to structural changes in the global economy, from automation to artificial intelligence. This will require strengthening support for cultural practitioners and artists, whose innovative thinking is essential for entrepreneurship that the future requires. We must look toward future needs when we consider the threat of climate change. As urban centers develop along coastal areas, we must innovate to become climate resilient and be better prepared for recovery and reconstruction. Disaster risk reduction is not only important for these developments, but is also crucial for the conservation of World Heritage sites. This year, as you know, marks the 75th anniversary of the United Nations, and we are relying on you all. Your participation in the World Urban Forum is only the beginning of the conversation. We must take urgent action to utilize culture and innovation as an accelerator of SDG implementation if we are to create a better world for all. I thank you.
We thank the President of the United Nations General Assembly for his remarks. And now, it's my honor to welcome His Excellency, Mr. Mukisa Kitoi, Secretary General of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, to deliver his remarks.
The General Coordinator of the World Urban Forum, His Excellency Mohammed Al-Qadar Al-Ahmed, my colleague and host Maimuna Sharif, fellow USG Fabrizio, Your Excellencies, Ministers and leaders of delegations, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, I want to express our appreciation first to the government of UAE, the federal government, and the government of the Emirate of Abu Dhabi for hosting us so successfully and for enriching our experiences and facilitating this unique dialogue between different actors. Today, we're at a very interesting moment. We take stock of 5 years of the promise of 2015, the triple promise of Addis Ababa financing SDGs, of the UN New York Agenda 2030, and of Paris COP21. And as we take stock, we see that we're falling behind. Yet the Secretary General of the UN has proclaimed the next decade as the decade of action. We must have the courage to look back at what we're not doing right and look for new levers of what we can do better. The opportunity for discourse, particularly looking at the normative background to which people act, looking at the algorithm of self-identity and collective action, the cultural basis of individual expression and realization that so much determines what happens in many of our communities, is a very refreshing addition to a new frontier of action, a new engagement in innovation, and a new commitment to reject the forces against multilateral action. I've been enriched in listening to those who have participated in the different sessions, discussing how the private sector, academia, cultural leaders, and community organizers can work together with international players in thinking afresh. How can we raise our ambition? How can we rededicate ourselves to collective action? How can we reject the forces of division? And it's so rewarding because I see purpose in what you've done here. And I think it's a learning experience for many of us, that going forward, we have new partners in action. We have new avenues of conversation. We have new engagement appreciating the role of culture. We, in the trade and development community, face more than our fair challenges in the headwinds of globalization. But when we find inspiration by people from a different backgrounds talking together like this, we are much more enamored to the possibilities that goodness will triumph over short-term ills. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I very much look forward to meeting you, yes, in Abu Dhabi at the World Investment Forum I'll be hosting here in December this year. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's now my honor to welcome His Excellency, Mr. Fabrizio Hochschild Drummond, Special Advisor to the Secretary General on Preparations for the 75th United Nations Anniversary, to deliver his remarks.
I'd also like to echo the thanks for the amazing organization of this event and the very kind and generous hosting by the UAE. And I'd also like to congratulate my colleagues from UN Habitat who have done such an amazing job of making this a success. Coming from New York, where, frankly, it's not always easy to be optimistic about the state of the UN or multilateralism or global cooperation, it's truly encouraging and inspirational to be here and see the level of idealism linked to practical reflection and lessons learned and suggestions for action that still prevails in this region and that prevailed here in this fora. To see such an international audience, and also an audience that is so diverse, not only in nationality, but in stakeholder groups and in age. I had a very encouraging meeting yesterday with youth from all over the world, gives one renewed faith in the international endeavor. An endeavor that, as previous speakers highlighted, is particularly critical now if we are to meet the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm in charge, on behalf of the Secretary General, with leading the preparations for the 75th anniversary this year. And precisely because we're at such a difficult juncture in history, where global cooperation is receding, geopolitics are back with a vengeance, and we see all sorts of challenges, from climate change to the disruption of new technologies to demographic trends that threaten the welfare of future generations and our planet itself. So precisely at this time, the Secretary General wants to launch a discussion around how we can come together better to manage this future. What is the future we want? What is the future we'll probably get if we don't attend better to current megatrends? And how can we innovate and revitalize international cooperation to lessen the gap between what we aspire to and where we might end up if we take more action? And as I think was said, among all the megatrends, one is beyond doubt, and that is the trend towards urbanization. There is absolutely no question about it, but perhaps one of the greatest paradoxes is that while urbanization is something nobody disagrees upon, it will largely happen in an unmanaged and unplanned way. And to the extent that's the case, it can become an exacerbator of violence, an exacerbator of climate change, an exacerbator of polarization. So I think we need to make people more and more aware of the trend towards urbanization and dedicate across the system, with the leadership of UN Habitat, more resources, more thinking to how we can better manage that change. And we are working very closely with colleagues from UN Habitat with the UN 75 exercise to reflect more and see how we can do better in that respect. And I think the discussion here was tremendously valuable, and I hope very much that we will continue working together with all of you. And I would invite all of you, through your respective networks, to participate in our UN 75 program and encourage participation of others. Leaders of the world need to hear from the world what the expectations are of global cooperation. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And now, it's my honor to welcome Mr. Henry Murillo Salazar, representative, Latin American Network of Persons with Disabilities and their families, to deliver his remarks.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Dear and appreciate His Excellencies, Her Excellencies, I bring the voice in this morning from millions of people that have disabilities in this world. And I would like to manifest that in the next years, the next coming years, the cities, they will shape virtually all the global development aspects, including the way in which we protect, promote, and realize fundamental human rights. People with disabilities represent 15% of the world's population. Half of them live today in cities and towns. By 2050, it's expected that close to 1 billion women, men, girls, and boys, and girls with disabilities will live in cities. Simultaneously, the world population is getting older, and they will represent 20%, around 20% by 2050. By recognizing these tendencies and opportunities, urban transformation, including the implications of climate change, cities around the world must decide how to ensure that their structures and services are inclusive and accessible to all. Accessibility is a human right and a precondition for people with disabilities to participate fully in society, included in cultural life, recreational activities, recreation and sports in the city and worldwide. Since 2005, with the adoption of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, governments have pledged to promote the inclusion and the active participation of persons with disabilities on equal terms with the rest. Since then, we have witnessed many relevant achievements, including Habitat 3 and the World Urban Forum 9. As the situation of our group has become more visible, but much remains to be done. The cities are at a critical conjuncture in terms of development when we enter a decade of action. The adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals with a clear mandate not to leave anyone behind. It's an important reminder of the task ahead. CRPD, the Convention with the Persons with Disability, los SDGs, and in particular, the development of SDGs 11 are tools of mutual reinforcement and prerequisite for the inclusion of persons with disabilities and for achieving inclusive and accessible urban development. The demand of investment in inclusion and accessibility is increasing with the number of countries that have ratified or are in the process of ratifying the CRPD. This is reflected in a growing number of UN governments, cities, donors, and agencies that adopt policies and inclusive accessibility standards for disability and a subsequent demand for technical advice on inclusion and accessibility. Also, the new urban agenda is committed to addressing all forms of discrimination and therefore achieve an urban prosperity, sustainable and inclusive, creating cities with opportunities for all. Cities committed to guarantee access to the rights of all and to convert diversity into social capital to take advantage of economic development. In Quito, Ecuador, in Latin America, we are committed to promote appropriate measures in cities and human settlements that facilitate the access of people with disabilities on equal terms with others to the physical environment of cities, and in particular to public space, public transport, housing, education, health facilities, information and public communication, including information and communication technologies and systems, and other facilities and services open or provided to the public, both in urban and rural areas. In Kuala Lumpur, we agreed to adopt accessibility and universal design as basic principles in subnational and local national action plans to implement the new urban agenda through inclusive, accessible, and participation process and consultations. In Abu Dhabi, this moment, we have taken a historic step as we have declared actions and concrete commitments to guarantee the participation of people with disabilities and their representative organizations as equal partners in the cities, and the basics are shown have been created for the years to come. The world faces an infrastructure gap of 15 billion for 2040. If we do not guarantee strong norms and standards so that the new infrastructure does not replicate and reinforce barriers in the future, we cannot guarantee the most basic rights for future generations. Adopting a universal design as well as innovative, inclusive, and accessible solutions from the beginning, is the only sustainable path to follow. Local governments must have inclusive policies with financing, implementation, and accountability mechanism to address the accessibility and inclusion of people with disabilities in cities. These policies should have people with disabilities and their organizations as partners in the design, planning, implementation, and monitoring. People are the ones who give life to a city, and people with disabilities are part of human diversity. Disability is a diverse group that includes even invisible disabilities, such as people with psychosocial disabilities, people with autism, deaf people, deaf-blind people, people with intellectual disabilities that should be considered as contributors to city planning. We are all different, but we have the inherent right to a good quality of life in the communities we choose. Universal design must be used to guarantee sustainable development for everyone, investing in accessible physical and digital environments for everyone to intervene in physical environments accessible not only to benefit people with disabilities, but also to create an habitat to older people, for children, for women, and other peoples all through their life. We want to congratulate to Abu Dhabi and also the cities of Barcelona, Banjul, Helsinki, and Almaty for signing the agreement forum for these accessible cities, and therefore to commit to promote this accessibility, the inclusion inside of this developments, like urban and all these cities, amicable cities, for the framework of the World Health Organization. On the basis of this legacy and the commitments that we obtain in this urban forum in Abu Dhabi, and looking forward to the 11th World Forum in Poland, the government of the Republic of Poland has publicly expressed that the next urban forum will be the most accessible urban forum in history. There's no doubt about it. The future we all want is inclusive and accessible to all. And finally, I would like to bring this message from Latin America, from Colombia, for the world, telling you that the economical development and sustainable of the cities is possible when social and cultural development places first to the last, so that nobody is left behind. Nothing about us without us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Zalazar. Ladies and gentlemen, during this week, the World Urban Forum 10 Advisory Group has worked tirelessly to consolidate the outcomes, the commitments, and actions arising from your discussions here in Abu Dhabi. The Advisory Group has a diverse composition of partners. Please Join me now in welcoming Her Excellency Ms. Martha Delgado Peralta, President of the UN Habitat Assembly and co-chair of the advisory group, who will initiate the reading of the Abu Dhabi Declared Actions.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished participants, to all the staff of UN Habitat and the staff of DMT and the city of Abu Dhabi, and everyone who made this possible, the Undersecretary Generals, the Assistant Secretary Generals, and the resident coordinators of the United Nations and the Secretary General of UNCTAD. Your Excellency Mohamed Al-Qadar Al-Ahmed, Executive Director of Strategic Affairs at DMT and General Coordinator of the World Urban Forum 10th on the part of UAE, and Abu Dhabi, Executive Director of UN Habitat, Madame Maimouna Sharif. Before I begin this segment of closing ceremony, let me, as President of the United Nations Habitat Assembly, first express my sincere gratitude, appreciation, through you, Your Excellency Mohamed Al-Qadar, to the United Arab States, and particularly the city of Abu Dhabi, for being such a magnificent host for us. Thank you very much. We lacked nothing but perpetual joy and comfort during our presence here. Distinguished participants, including member states, local and regional governments, members for the private sector, the academia and civil society organizations, I am so inspired by the remarkable enthusiasm and participation. Thank you for taking the time to come here and to discuss what humanity and dignity is all about, what the SDGs and the new urban agenda mean to communities, and why we must leave anyone behind. Let me also thank the Undersecretaries and Assistant Secretaries General and the Resident Coordinator of the United Nations and the Secretary General of UNCTAD, who found time in their very busy agendas to be with us here today. And Madam Executive Director Maimouna, words cannot express my pride as President of this United Nations Habitat Assembly to witness this great achievement that we have today. Convening power of the UN Habitat has been greatly evident. What you, your Deputy Ms. Bektor Kisov, and your staff have done in partnership with the UAE, Abu Dhabi, and all the partners here today, those who have already left and those who were not able to attend but were with us in spirit and followed the events online, is simply magnificent, and we are all proud. Thank you very much. As the first global gathering of this size of the United Nations in 2020, the 10th session of the World Urban Forum has served as an excellent launch for the Decade to Action, and this is an excellent opportunity to accelerate the implementation of the Agenda 2030. It has demonstrated the importance of the new urban agenda, including its transformative commitments and delivers, and in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. So it is an honor and has been a privilege for me to stand before you today as we are gathered here to officially conclude a productive and successful journey of hard work focused on how to make better cities for everyone. It's been an idea seen to engage with all of you colleagues, co-workers and friends in implementing specific thematic areas of the new urban agenda, such as gender, shared prosperity in cities and human settlements, culture and diversity, amongst others. Although the World Urban Forum comes to an end, the challenging task to shape inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable cities we envision begins today. And I am talking about the crucial commitment for all of us to contextualize that many learnings from this forum and take them to our everyday lives and realities to drive change in a successful way. We need then to listen and to take into account every different perspective and idea. We need to reach more people and to lay the groundwork so that no one's left behind. It is precisely the outcomes of forums such like this one that will allow us to make appropriate links between our goal and our actions. So I can assure you as a President of the UN Habitat Assembly that we will support the most pressing challenges that cities and human settlements are facing. Issues as inequality, exclusion, poverty, climate change, migration, and different forms of conflicts are in our agenda. I wish then to present the declared actions of this 10th session of the World Urban Forum as put together by a wonderful advisory group composed of a well-balanced group of member states and partners, and which I was privileged to co-chair, and the advisory groups has listened to all your thoughts, your wishes, your aspirations throughout this session. And therefore, I would like to invite Mr. Abir Sashwani, Associate Specialist in Environment, Department of Municipalities and Transport of Abu Dhabi, Mr. Sijat Said from Noon Center of the University of East London, representatives of the World Urban Forum Advisory Group, and as well as Christine Nansen, Director of External Relations, Strategy and Knowledge of UN Habitat, to join me here. Please come up to the stage. I will begin, okay? Thank you. Okay, this is the Abu Dhabi Declared Actions document. First, we, the participants of the 10th session of the World Urban Forum, represent national, subnational, and local governments, international and regional organizations, parliamentarians, civil society, older persons, women, youth, children, persons with disabilities, grassroots groups, indigenous people and local communities, professionals, the private sector, foundations and philanthropies, academia, professionals and other relevant stakeholders. Together, we gathered in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, to dialogue on the theme Cities of Opportunities, Connecting Culture and Innovation. Now, at the conclusion of the World Urban Forum, we declare our voluntary actions and commitments for the new 2 years and beyond. We do so in support in the implementation of the new urban agenda as an accelerator to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals in this decade of action. Second, we recognize that an increasingly urbanized world constitutes a transformative force which can be harnessed and steered for more sustainable development. Cities have the opportunity to take the lead to plan and design as well as manage transitions towards inclusion, resilience, sustainability, economic growth, and shared prosperity. At the same time, cities are addressing many global challenges, including poverty, gender inequalities, human rights violations, unemployment, health emergencies, loss of social cohesion, threat of cultural heritage and cultural diversity, environmental degradation, migration, disaster risk, and climate change.
We, the participants of WUF10, are convinced that culture is an integral part of the solution to the challenges of urbanization in achieving the new urban agenda. We believe that cities are centers of creativity and innovation, as well as places with valuable cultural heritage and identity. Cities that are well planned and well managed, grounded in cultural heritage, have more opportunities for sustainable urban development. Supported by people-centered technology, smart city initiatives, and fit-for-purpose land governance, culture and innovation become creative drivers for sustainable growth, shared prosperity, and inclusive development. We also believe that cities are incubators of social, economic, environmental, political, and cultural progress. They're equally the guardians of cultural heritage and identity, which must be safeguarded to pass on to future generations. The new urban agenda acknowledges the importance of culture, cultural diversity, and cultural heritage in all its forms as resources that enrich humankind.
We celebrate cultural heritage as a valuable resource. As a valuable resource to be protected and safeguarded in its diversity of expressions and forms. These assets inspire innovation and creativity in cities and human settlements, creating and implementing new knowledge and solutions to improve living conditions for all. Women and girls must have effective and equal ways to participate through cultural expressions, as well as innovation and inclusive decision-making. We encourage stronger commitments to safeguarding cultural heritage and finding relative innovative solutions to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the Sustainable Development Goals, the Addis Ababa Action Agenda, the Sunday Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, the Paris Agreement, and the new Urban Agenda and other global frameworks. We recognize the need for an integrated approach to the implementation of the new urban agenda by all levels of government and by various stakeholders. We also recognize that innovation and advances in science and technology are critical for implementing the new urban agenda, achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and other global development frameworks relevant to sustainable urbanization.
We draw attention to the importance of data and knowledge as the fundamental starting point to understand gaps and needs. We encourage stakeholders to declare their actions towards strengthening investments and efforts in developing better data platforms to support evidence-based policies and investments and accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda. We believe that together, sustainable urbanization, culture, and innovation are fundamental in supporting the decade of action.
We welcome and recognize the diverse commitments made by participants during WUF10, including international organizations, private sector actors, youth, national and local governments, and many more stakeholders. With participants from 165 countries, we know that the following are only a small sampling of the actions that have been captured and the commitments that participants are taking with them as they leave this impressive and inclusive World Urban Forum. We wish to highlight only a few illustrative actions here and invite you to consult the full list of committed actions which are on the WUF10 website and on the WUF app shortly. International organizations committed to a wide range of actions in support of the new urban agenda, including the European Union reaffirming their commitments to accelerate its implementation through an array of tangible actions which are outlined in the attached document. UNDRR, in partnership with UCLG, ICLEI, the World Bank, UN Habitat, the World Council on City Data, and the Global Resilient Cities Network, commit to multiple interventions in regional support, coordination with national and local governments, and knowledge management to make cities resilient by 2030. The resident coordinator system committed to incorporate sustainable urban development into all instruments of the UN country teams and to create space for UN Habitat to contribute to their work in innovative and new ways to achieve the SDGs in this decade of action. The International Committee of the Red Cross committed to promote and work for urban planning and design, which positions military installations at an appropriate distance from the civilian population, civilian infrastructure, and cultural property in accordance with international humanitarian law. Among the national government commitments, Fiji committed to achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050. The government of Senegal will act to use Islamic finance in the application of land value capture. Special Olympics Saudi Arabia will implement inclusive sports across major cities through partnerships between a minimum of one major university in each of the big cities and all facilities by 2021. Among the commitments of local and regional governments, the following cities committed to initiate a voluntary local review, joining other signatories: Barcelona, Rostov-on-Don, Betsiotown, Kuala Lumpur, San Justo, Tandil, Seberang Perai, Buang, Sipilay City, Brussels Capital Region, Tawau, Esplugues de Llobregat, Turkestan City, and Acapulco de Juarez. 5 cities committed to the implementation of the Global Compact on inclusive and accessible cities: Abu Dhabi, Helsinki, Barcelona, Banjul, and Almaty. Civil society organizations committed to a wide range of actions, such as building an aggregated developmental database, which will be accessible for local communities to contribute their vision on sustainable urbanization in their own communities. Specific commitments also emerged, such as targeted work between civil society, mayors in Nigeria, Indonesia, and beyond. And finally, private sector actors committed to support the development of an Inclusive City Index 2030 in partnership with the public sector to measure inclusion and accessibility in cities. Another illustration came in a commitment to work together with cities to match innovative financing mechanisms with specific and strategic infrastructure programs for sustainable urbanization, working with a network of cities to ensure that technology is accessible to all. Please do consult the WUF10 website, as this was only a small sampling of the very rich actions which were committed, to see more and to add your own commitments coming from WUF10.
We believe that together, sustainable urbanization, culture, and innovation are fundamental in supporting the decade of action. So we aim to accelerate the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, which call for sustainable and inclusive solutions to all the world's biggest challenges. Cities represent an entry point for all 17 SDGs and create a window of opportunity for sustainable urban development. Service, provision, density, and economics of a scale are factors that bind all development goals together. We encourage all development actors gathered in Abu Dhabi to mobilize their respective capacities in this decade of action. We will continue to call for actions and mobilization and track progress through a monitoring and reporting mechanism. At the global level, this requires strong leadership, more resources, and smarter solutions. At the local level, this includes also shifts in policy, budget, institutions, and regulatory frameworks to make cities safe, resilient, and sustainable, grounded in cultural heritage and creative practice. At the people level, we call for a movement of youth, civil society, media, private sector, academia, and others to advocate for social and economic transformations. So we want to raise awareness for all the stakeholders, the cities, we build today are tomorrow's heritage. We finally thank the government of the United Arab Emirates and the city of Abu Dhabi and the UN Habitat for convening the forum, and we commit to providing continuous cooperation to the next hosts, the government of Poland and the city of Katowice. Let me conclude by thanking the members of the advisory group of the World Urban Forum for their stewardship of the forum and for guiding the preparation of the declared action presented to you. And thank you very much, you all, for your attention. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Ms. Delgado, Mr. Said, Dr. Sejwani, and Ms. Knudsen. Thank you very much. Wow. Thank you, Shayma Al-Mughiri, for this beautiful sand art. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to set our eyes on the next milestone. In 2 years' time, we will all meet again. I now have the honor to welcome the host of the 11th session of the World Urban Forum. So please welcome to the front of the stage Her Excellency Ms. Malgorzata Jorzańska-Jedniak, Minister of Development Funds and Regional Policy of the Republic of Poland. Mr. Marcin Krupa, Mayor of Katowice, and Ms. Katarzyna Smityk, Youth Representative. I would also like to invite Her Excellency Madame Maimouna Mohammed Sharif and His Excellency Mohammed Al-Khadr Al-Ahmed for the official handover moment to the next World Urban Forum host. I now have the pleasure of inviting Her Excellency Ms. Malgorzata Jorzańska-Jedniak, Minister of Development Funds and Regional Policy of the Republic of Poland, to deliver her remarks.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, Madame Maimouna Mohammed, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. First of all, I would like to thank the UN Habitat and the government of the United Arab Emirates for organizing such magnificent event. Congratulations on your great success. And thank you for sharing us how important it's to combine cultural heritage with innovative thinking in urban planning. During the last week, we learned a lot about urban policy. We met thousands of experts, activists, and government representatives. We discussed a wide range of topics and took part in hundreds of sessions. Now, it's our responsibility not to waste it, but to turn it into action. In 2018, 55% of the world population lived in cities. This number is constantly growing, and it's projected to reach 68% by 2050. This is why when we talk about urban policy, we don't talk about any specialized field. In fact, we talked about policy and politics that affect the majority of people on our planet. The United Nations Charter says that one of the UN goals is to achieve international cooperation in solving international problems of an economic, social, cultural, or humanitarian character. The urban issues are certainly one of such challenges. This is why we need to achieve this cooperation in line with the UN Habitat Strategic Plan. The targets outlined by the Sustainable Development Goals and the new urban agenda are ambitious, but they are within our reach when we work together. What we do here is building the cornerstone of cooperation. We meet each other and exchange experience, knowledge, and contacts gained here in Abu Dhabi can help us make a better urban future with greener, more sustainable, equal, and accessible cities. We all know the global challenges we are facing: climate change, poverty, inequalities. However, we, as the international community, should know how to face them, not only globally, but also at the local level. We should cooperate, country to country, city to city, person to person, in order to achieve the ambitious goals of sustainable urban development. This is why every 2 years we meet in another place, somewhere where we can see urban challenges from a different perspective. After a long journey from Nairobi to Abu Dhabi, the 11th edition will take place in Poland, in the city of Katowice. It's my great pleasure, together with Mayor Krupa, to invite you to our country. I believe we have a great story to tell. Katowice is a unique Polish city with rich history, which recently culminated in transformation from a center of the mining industry to an important business and green lifestyle center. In our pavilion in Abu Dhabi, you could see how it all happened. In 2022, you will be able to witness it. We want to show you how the urban transformation that has taken place in Central Eastern Europe in the last 30 years. We believe our experience of economic, social, and cultural regeneration is worth presenting at the next World Urban Forum. In Katowice, we want to talk about just transformation, about challenges that leave no one behind. We want to learn from us, and we want us to learn from you. However, the greatest value of World Urban Forums are the participants and their willingness to think globally and act locally. We hope that history will come full circle, and in 2022, Katowice will attract thousands of people from around the world who care the sustainable development of cities. And yes, by saying it, I mean you. We would be honored if you visited Katowice in 2022. You will take part in the historic event. Katowice is the first city from Central Eastern Europe to host World Urban Forum. Sounds encouraging? I hope so. So, see you in Katowice, see you in Poland, at the World Urban Forum 11th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We now invite you to watch a video from the next host of the World Urban Forum in Katowice.
30 years ago, this was the reality in Katowice. Heavy industry and mining defined the whole region, and its capital was said to be the least friendly for living. When we regained freedom in 1989, a lack of technology, know-how, or capital was not a barrier to overcome, and anything was possible. We believed in our city, and we wanted to change it. After 30 years, we can proudly say that the mission has been successful. But it's not over yet. Today, because of cooperation and involvement of the inhabitants, Katowice is a dynamically developing industrial, academic, and cultural hub. The enormous changes are symbolized by the Culture Zone, a venue of the 11th edition of the World Urban Forum, which was built within a former coal mine. Today it hosts international meetings and conferences and art and culture, exhibited 14 meters below the surface. In Katowice, we understand the importance of our city developing sustainably. The city is known for being part of the nature-based solutions. It is one of the greenest cities in Poland. Forests and greenbelts constitute more than 50% of its area. Numerous parks and garden squares are revitalized like a former mining housing estate, Nikiczowiec, and they make the city more inhabitants-friendly. Many large investments and ecological developments have improved the air quality and increased energy security. But more importantly, ecological ideas were adopted by the inhabitants, who use their ecological municipal transport more frequently. The transformation process did not eliminate the industry completely, but has changed its face. Katowice and its whole region are still a strong industry hub, but today it's focused on high technology, like the cluster of Silesia Automotive and Advanced Manufacturing under the Katowice Special Economic Zone, which is a pioneer of innovative motorization. More than 30 years ago, the very first Polish heart transplants took place in our clinic, led by Zbigniew Religa. The clinic retains a world level, where 2 years ago a team led by Professor Zembala conducted a successful artificial heart operation. Katowice's heart-shaped logo combines two faces of the city, the traditional with the industrial heritage and the modern, creative and economically strong. As the largest center of the region, Katowice became the leader in metropolitan cooperation. This resulted in the establishment of the first and only metropolitan union in Poland. We are organizing the 11th edition of the World Urban Forum in order to share our experience. We believe that it may be helpful for other cities and regions which struggle with their industrial past. Our expertise can benefit them in search for solutions that ensure both sustainable development and care for inhabitants, tradition and culture.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce the United Nations Under-Secretary General and Executive Director of UN Habitat, Madame Maimouna Mohamed Sharif, to deliver her closing address.
Your Excellency, Mohammed Al-Qader, Executive Director of the Department of Municipalities and Transport, representing the Local Organizing Committee of World Urban Forum 10. Your Excellency, Madam Marta Delgado, President of the United Nations Habitat Assembly. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning to all of you. This 10th session of the World Urban Forum held here in Abu Dhabi has achieved a remarkable number of milestones. All of you know that in terms of numbers, quality presentations, gender balance amongst the speakers, the quality of exhibitions, the integrated spaces, and the opportunities for chance encounters, WUF10 had set a new benchmark in this urban Olympiad. Congratulations to all of us. Let me take the opportunity to thank the leadership of His Excellency Falah Al-Ahbabi and the Departments of Municipalities and Transport, including His Excellency Muhammad Al-Qadar, and the local organizing committee for their hospitality, kind cooperation, and expertise. They have truly contributed substantially to the World Urban Forum. My team and I have learned a lot from them, and I know this is why Abu Dhabi is such a remarkable place. Your Excellency, this 10th session of the World Urban Forum is now coming to a close. I said to my team that having worked so closely with all of you, I feel very touched and also sad. But I'm also happy to say that this is just the beginning of strengthening further our existing partnership with the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, and I look forward of working closely with you and the team on various legacy programs. At the opening ceremony and throughout the forum, we heard member states, local governments, the private sector, civil society, grassroots leaders, women groups and youth, and all of us saying and insisting on a common goal of leaving a legacy of a better world for future generations. Let me take this opportunity to acknowledge the contribution of Her Excellency Madam Mata Delgado, President of the UN Habitat Assembly and co-chair of the advisory group. I would like also to thank her for her commitment and stewardship at WUF10. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, WUF10, as we prepare to go separate ways, I am reminded of a particularly significant conversation I had here in Abu Dhabi. I was told a touching story of a grandfather. Throughout the grandfather's youth, when the body was strong, he had good health, but no peace. But when peace finally came, the grandfather had grown old and the body had grown weak. This grandfather never had peace and health at the same time. Yet, this grandfather worked hard to ensure that future generations had both. At 75, the United Nations reminds me of this story, that I'm also reminded of my parents, especially my mother. Because of them, because of the sacrifice of the past generations, many of us are enjoying peace and good health, but it is a privilege that we did not earn. The best we can do is to pass it forward and to ensure that others get to enjoy both peace and good health, the ingredients of happiness. This idea of passing it forward is the common thread running through the theme Cities of Opportunities, Connecting Culture and Innovations. All these three ingredients, culture, innovation, and cities, are co-dependent and co-creating. Human settlements exist and excel on the dynamic mixture of cultures. Culture is kept alive and dynamic by innovation, which happens through the coming together of talents and resources in cities. It is this codependency that gives rise to the best expression of human achievement. It is also the best of humanity that is passed down to us as a legacy. The best way we can pass it on to our future generation is by doubling our effort and commitment to the Sustainable Development Goal. We began this 10th session of the World Urban Forum with a call to action. The WUF is an opportunity to accelerate the implementation of the new urban agenda and the commitment we said we would do to accomplish the Sustainable Development Goals. WUF10 has given us some good ideas on how we can achieve the SDG. At WUF10, through some 400 thought-provoking sessions, some key ideas has emerged. We agree on that urban heritage, both cultural and natural, is an asset that enables sustainable development. Attention to the urban-rural continuum and to the nature in cities is essential. Participatory community engagement and innovation are key means to achieve this. An integrated approach to the implementation of the new urban agenda by all levels of government and by various stakeholders is crucial for the achievement of sustainable urban development and overall prosperity of cities and human settlement. Finally, we need to critically link data to evidence-based policy formulation, development of action plan, and sources of funding. Actions, as you know, speaks louder than words. Change must begin at home. I told my own team that we have put forward our strategic plan 2020 to 2023 and the flagship programs which represents our aspiration. They help us to focus so that we can be better equipped to help member states, local government, and communities to take up the call to action for sustainable urban development. I would like to appeal to the member states to integrate the urban dimensions in your development plans. I would also like to appeal to member states to help us raise the necessary resources so that we can serve you better. But we too need to declare our action and heed the call of the member state partners and communities. I am happy to report that we have been working very hard at WUF10 to ensure this become a reality. Both my Deputy Executive Director and myself had a total of 71 bilateral meetings with member states and high-level representations from the various communities gathered here today. This is also not including the speeches, the remarks that we have to do at during the 5 days. We are committed to transform the way we work and communicate so that we can serve we the people as stated in the UN Charter. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to thank all of you, including those delegates and participants who had to leave early, to those registrants who signed up but could not make it. This 10th session of the World Urban Forum could not have happened without your sense of urgency, the commitments you are ready to implement, and the collective action that we have declared together just now on this stage. UN Habitat launched the new Urban Agenda platform to monitor the implementation of these commitments as mandated by the United Nations General Assembly. SDG 11, where all the SDGs come together for safe, sustainable, and inclusive development, through Abu Dhabi declared action, we now have the what, the how, and the when components as well. WUF10 at Abu Dhabi has brought together thinkers and doers. It has highlighted the concern of the most vulnerable communities who are most negatively impacted by rapid urbanization and climate emergency. We also know that these communities are contributing the least carbon emission, yet they are bearing the brunt of our unsustainable lifestyles. It is UN Habitat responsibility to convey the most urgent message from these communities. Women and girls are still not at the table in decision-making. Boys and young men are being left behind in terms of formal education. The youth bulge in many developing countries do not have jobs
and their aspirations are stifled by a lack of upwards mobility. The grassroots communities are finding themselves ignored. I would also like to convey the aspiration of the business community, who are also looking into the new ways of creating true value from their investments. It is not enough that we use WUF as a platform to shine the lights on the plight of these communities. We need to act. We need to accelerate our actions. As a former mayor, you will understand my insistence on action. I still recall with great anguish that the loss of life at an old people's home during the 2018 flood in my city. They were left helpless as this person drowned in the rising waters. With the climate emergency upon us, we need plan-led urbanization so that we are not left helpless as extreme weather and rising sea levels threatens the world's major cities and human settlements. Once again, I would like to express our solidarity with the People's Republic of China and all health practitioners worldwide for their strenuous effort to contain the coronavirus epidemic. It is heartening to know that in the UAE, great efforts are being made to plant thousands of trees to offset the carbon footprint at our gathering. A lot of effort is being made to ensure that help and support is provided to those in the developing world. The UAE is one of the most generous countries, helping where they can and where there is a greatest urgency and needs. I am also informed that we have secured firm commitment by the Commonwealth of Nations to put sustainable urbanization front and center at their Commonwealth Head of Government meeting in Kigali in Rwanda in June this year. Similarly, at the African France Conference in Bordeaux, also in June, the Francophone countries will come together to double their effort to support the implementation of the new urban agenda. I also received a strong delegation of all countries in the Commonwealth of Independent States and Russian Federation. Not forgetting small island nation and all 47 LDC countries. All represented, I'm sorry, losing my voice. All represented at WUF10. In fact, you will be glad to know that a total of 169 nations are represented here at the forum. Thank you. Put here, okay. I've not been sleeping well actually for the past 1 week. That's why I'm losing my voice. I'm very, very sorry for these interruptions. You bear with me, there's a few more paragraphs to go through. Please let me thank our member states for taking the initiative to register their willingness to accelerate the implementation of the SDG number 11. In the coming 2 years, we will definitely need to ensure that this committed action are turned into reality so that we can deliver the most positive impact to the communities that need it most. We cannot localize the SDG without local government. As a former mayor, again, I'm very proud of my colleagues for doubling their effort to ensure that they carry out voluntary local reviews, but more importantly, in their commitment to help each other. Please share your knowledge, methodology, technology, experience, so that all cities can fulfill their declared action. As you all know, the WUF is a platform to present innovation. the SDG Cities flagship, accompanied by the City Investment Facility, has been very well received. UN Habitat is ready to expand our role as bridge builder, linking financing with cities to ensure that plan-led development contribute holistically so that no one is left behind. An economic model based upon the SDG will not be easy to implement, but as we have heard from the local and regional government, women, grassroots, business, youth assembly, we need to do things differently if we want to leave a positive legacy for future generations. At UN Habitat, we are ready, and also with other sisters UN agencies, we are ready to work as one. 10 UN resident coordinators were present at WUF10. What a figure! 10 RC present in WUF10. Throughout the forum, we had high-level representation from our sisters agency. We are happy to see the active participation of UNESCO, UNDP, and UNDSR in the advisory group, highlighting the key concern around culture, development, and migration. As we work towards reporting our accomplishment at the 11th session of the World Urban Forum, allow me to say to the government of Poland and the city of Katowice that United Nations or UN Habitat is ready to work closely with you in the very near future, immediately after this forum. I also have the pleasure of announcing that the global observance of the World Habitat Day 2020 will be in Surabaya, Indonesia. This will be on the first Monday of October, which falls on the 5th of October 2020. So see you at the World Habitat Day in Surabaya. Let me also take this opportunity to announce that the expression of interest for the 12th session of World Urban Forum is now officially open. So those who are interested to host WUF12, please look at our website and you can submit your application. Finally, let me thank the Department of Municipalities and Transport once again for their generosity, professionalism in the organizing of this 10th session of World Urban Forum. Allow me also to acknowledge the excellent services of ETNEC for this amazing venue. We have truly forged a strong partnership between Abu Dhabi and UN Habitat. My team is looking forward to continue collaborating with the Department of Municipalities and Transport to ensure that the legacy of WUF10 resonates down the years. I also would like to say thank you to the United Nations senior leadership, all the participants that traveled to be here from all over the world, Department of Municipalities and Transport, Ministry of Palace Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with a special thanks to the colleague in the protocol lounge at the airport, ETNEC, MCI, all the colleagues that made everything work, the many vendors, facilities workers, IT, front of the house, back of the house, the crew, registration, information desk team, caterers and food truck vendors, ETNEC security, sign language interpreters and simultaneous interpreters, print shop editors, photographers, writers, tour guides, drivers, the performers, the artists, UNDSS, volunteers and the ushers. Last but not least, my beloved UN Habitat colleague here and the staff who are really working very hard to make these things happen. So, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I also would like to say thank you to the resident coordinator of UAE, Dana, my sister here, who always helped me, and sometimes we also WhatsApp until midnight. With that, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I declare, it's so sad to declare. I want to read this last sentence. I declare the 10th session of the World Urban Forum is officially closed. Till we meet again at Surabaya, Indonesia in October, and see you all in Katowice in Poland in 2022. I thank you for your attention and solidarity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Maimouna Mohamed Sharif. Let's give another round of applause to all our speakers and performers. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is now conclude our closing ceremony program. We now invite you all to join the flag lowering ceremony, which will commence shortly in the Central Plaza. At this moment, I thank you again for attending the 10th session of the World Urban Forum here in Abu Dhabi. Before you leave, please enjoy our hospitality and visit some of our treasures. We wish you safe journeys back home. Thank you.